somebody else brought it up last week, where like there's so many good heroes right now. It's just triple strategist is so damn good that like it's kind of hard to play anything else, right? And Magic is a good hero on her own, but mainly in these 2-2 comps, when you play her in these solo duelists with the 3 strategist compositions, she just lacks uptime. That's the only downside with Magic, is that she really relies on that Dark Child to be up. And then also, yeah, it's like once you use your cooldowns, okay, great, now you're kind of not a threat and you can get easily picked off. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But you're right, Magic is a top tier hero. It's just tough when, you know, Mantis exists, but now Mantis is being removed. We have to see if 2 more bans come through to maybe make it viable.
Here we go again in the ban phase. Burn and T'Challa domination. What do you know? Another one of those maps that has been shown a lot, but it's always a fun one. I personally love Burn and T'Challa. I think it's a ton of fun to watch. We see the double Luna lock in here.
Wait, Ship, did we get every single domination?
I think we did.
We did, right?
Yeah, we did.
Let's go! We did it. We did it. We get to see every single map. That's crazy.
Scratch it off the bingo card, brother. We've done it. We made it. As we see the Ultron ban, that again, we've seen a lot of that. And typically, you know, early on in the season, I think the thought was if you get rid of Mantis, it also kind of removes Ultron. But since then, the raw power of Ultron getting ult incredibly quickly and what he can do to protect the backline and just that extra power with your triple strat comps is proven to be enough even without Mantis. So we're seeing that happen a lot today and this last 2 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, right? You have the Jeff Protect come through for the side of DarkZero, right? And yeah, it's interesting because now Namor potentially not going to get played because of the Hulk. The thing is, usually you see 3 strategist bans. If you're wondering, like usually it's, you know, 3 strat bans and whatever flex pick you kind of want. Sometimes 4 if you are willing to go that far, and if they don't protect enough on the other team's side. But both teams favoring the Luna Snow, kind of like we saw earlier out of busy at work. I don't personally agree with it, but some teams do it, right? At the moment, you're still not allowing to play Emma Frost. That's a big one for DarkZero, alongside their typical strat bans, but they're also getting rid of that Namor Hulk potential too. So less strat bans this time around for DarkZero, favoring more towards getting rid of that Emma Frost and that Hulk, making sure those heroes can't get played. On the opposite side, they cannot play Adam Warlock, Ultron, or Mantis, leaving that Jeff a viable option for them.
So the question to you, to kind of put you on the spot, who do you think wins this ban phase here on Burnin? I think Burnin is very much an off-map location, right? So Jeff is viable. It wasn't banned on either side. So excluding that, what do you think is the win in terms of banning? Do you have a guess, or is it kind of up in the air?
I mean, I think the team that gets Emma at the moment is kind of in a better spot, personally, from my take. Also, I mean, the fact that they're going to play both teams going to play Jeff, because we protect the Jeff and we're not banning it. That means that they get to still play the Jeff, so it doesn't even really matter. You don't get an edge there. Both teams didn't ban Star-Lord either, so that's still a viable option to play. It seems like Star-Lord's the hero to pick in these solo duelist triple strategist compositions. So really, I think that kind of comes back down to the Vanguard play at the end of the day. Like, I really feel like the team that gets Emma should have the biggest edge. Namor Hulk is good, don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of with Mace on this when he said in the interview how I don't really think, like, once you go for that Namor comp, it's kind of something that you can't deal with. It isn't necessarily something that's that good. I think Namor Hulk is really good, but at times, I think we've seen the teams that can play the Star-Lord Jeff comp at a high level alongside with the Emma Frost really are the best teams, but we'll have to find out in a moment.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think Jeff, if you do, you can find success against Hulk as soon as you see that bubble cooldown. Even if he ults, you know, he has no way of getting back on map. You can yeet Hulk from downtown off map, and there's a ton of that here on these specific selections in Burn and T'Challa. So I would agree with that. And we see Impunity is going to be on that group, and Madara is going to be there on the Emma as we start up once more. Haluk is going to be there for the Venom, which is very low and does falls right amazing. We've seen a ton of play here on the Phoenix, and I personally love this Phoenix skin. My personal favorite Phoenix skin here, and they are taking priority on point up a number. Make it 2 numbers.
I mean, yeah, best Phoenix skin as chosen, as dictated by Ryan Amazing. And this is the problem, Shib, like when we talk about the heroes played, right? You can't play front to back because you're against Emma Frost and Groot. If you do, you'd have to go Wolverine. But then you can't go dive because they have Emma Frost, Bucky, Luna Snow, Invis, and Phoenix. All characters with either stuns or force some form of CC. So Haluk has to play Venom because if they play front to back, they lose. And if he plays dive, they also lose because they're playing counter dive. So this has been tough so far, but we'll see if Extinction can get the ball rolling with this Jeff ult coming up.
Yeah, ult advantage heavily available here for DarkZero. Kurova going to find that in the neutral onto Biblical. And yeah, I mean, we were just looking over there, right? Amazing, looking like a Namor turret, just not missing anyone in those moments. Looking very clean, just a ton of damage out, already ready for that combination with Velocity for the damage boost. Ensong Inferno tries to cap point, at least driving them back towards point, but not going to be for long as Jeff goes up.
What are we doing?
Countered, it's huge, and it is going to find 3, I believe it does. Reverse coming in, finding Velocity, smash and Impunity, just like that. Kurova going to make that push on a reverse, but still the retake here for Extinction, who is going to find the point, and only 54% for DarkZero there. There's a lot of answers.
Oh my God. That was, yeah, I mean, they were trying to counter with the end song, which makes sense onto the Jeff. He still got the bubble. But damn, like, that's too many people eaten by a Jeff ult, dude. That is bad. You can't let 3 people get eaten by Jeff. I mean, brutal situation to deal with. Reverse got 3 off the map off of a huge It's Jeff. And the team running the Jeff takes advantage yet again.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky there. I mean, there was definitely more available for commitment. Impunity, right? Amazing. Kurova, and yeah, again with Impunity and Smash. Why don't you? Gonna find everybody, but a huge res here from Juker, bringing back the entire army. Everybody on the point now. Oh, DarkZero a millisecond away from capping, but good retouch here by Extinction. Out goes the invisible boundary. Velocity now gonna bring out the dance floor. Fate of both worlds. Biblical committing here with the Galactic Legend, but still, it is not gonna be able to get anyone through that dance floor. The point is still being hold here. Yeah, reverses all could be massive once more. Right, Amazing, potentially ready to counter it, but again, that bubble could come out from Legacy to keep them up and healthy.
Well, here it comes. Ensong Inferno waiting for him to make his appearance, show his little cute face, gets smoked in the sky, actually. Did reverse eat anybody, though? The answer was yes. Madara and Impunity both gone. Same thing with Amazing. Goodbye.
That is insane. Again, a full sweep. Extinction coming back full force after what looked like DarkZero was going to be playing lights out and holding. These ults from reverse have been insane. Back to back, a 4 into a 2-piece. Jeff doing what Jeff does. You can't be confused about the cuteness. You got to be ready for this death shark to make big plays, and it is scary in the hands of someone like Reverse. Again with another huge ult. We'll start up once more. Ult up for Halak, and here it comes. Feast of the Abyss onto the back line, gonna bring them down to nothing, and their follow-up is there as Biblical gets one. Right, Amazing onto Legacy. Smash onto Juker. Smash again. Biblical onto Right, Amazing, putting the numbers back. Juker gonna res back, so that number did not count. Again, 99% here for Extinction, and Reverse gonna find Impunity. Reverse out here on the Jeff is an MVP right now. Biblical and Juker on Madara and Smash, and that should do it unless this portal gets here, and I don't believe it will. What a map 1, and what a return after those first 2 fights.
And this is what we talk about when we mention triple stratus and how good it is, right? I might have said all of what I said at the very beginning about, playing, that Venom against this composition where they have a bunch of CC. On the flip side, right? I mean, what do you do against the Venom ult when you have both strategists together and no other strategist alongside, no Jeff that you allowed through? Very odd decision, I think, to not play the Jeff throughout that series, based on what we saw from Reverse, at least. I mean, that was huge Jeff commitment, like you said. Huge plays out of Reverse. Able to take advantage of that Star-Lord composition. And that's the difficulty. That's the weakness that you leave yourselves open to, is those Jeff compositions when you play a 2-2-2. And also, you don't play a Jeff of your own. You could live if they played the Atom, for example. If that got through for them, they could soul bomb when that Venom comes in. But Haluk just has a free ultimate because it's just Velocity and Kurova stuck together without ults. They go down no matter what.
Yeah, this is an example of one of those compositions where it's essentially, handle yourself comp, where you're going to be running both Adam and Jeff, who can make game-winning ultimate plays, but then you try to stick to, Vanguards that can kind of handle their own business. Things like Venom, who has a ton of HP and cooldowns to keep him healthy, and we might see a portal kidnap here potentially on the low side into the strategist, just waiting at this moment. Still trying to find a play, almost gets it, and they do! The Velocity! Halak with the mines, what a play there with the kidnap, great timing, and it goes to show you the portal doesn't need to be fully formed. It's the instant you click it, you can still get that kidnap to happen. Practice those, they do find value, I'm telling you, and wow, what an early start here, again, taking the point and trying to maintain it as the ticker begins halfway there.
That's pretty huge. Madara's pick is even bigger, though. Legacy goes down. Juker falls, but he has res in a second. Biblical also trying to keep it working with his Galactic Legend. He gets one.
Yeah, Juker going to bring back Legacy, and we see Korova finding Juker once more. Legacy going to be dropping Korova off map. We go with reverse, and that is going to find Velocity, who has no way back. Riku under Amazing now, and again, a trade once more back and forth. But at this point, Extinction finally gets the point, and they're ticking up, looking forward to this domination victory. DarkZero's got to come back heavy. They will have ult advantage in this next fight, just barely, once we get impunity there.
Oh my god, poor Velocity. I mean, first he dies to the kidnap from the portal into the Venom Mine. Smash goes down to Juker too. The neutral of Extinction is beautiful. Yeah. Velocity got kidnapped by a Jeff in the last fight. Also on top of that, so brutal situation right now for DarkZero as now staggers come out.
Agamotto is very threatening in a ceiling like this where you can use that upward momentum to propel yourself forward. We might see that from Legacy if necessary. Not going to do it now, as we see Madara here using that ult, pressing forward. And here we go with Legacy, potentially Agamottoing over this left side, looking towards the back line. No, going to wait. Not need to use it yet. 40% on. Good patience there. As we see more damage going out, building that charge. Emma's laser now does a little less in terms of gaining the laser charge on shields. As Legacy throws out that eye, doesn't seem to land on very many. Biblical ready with the Galactic Legend to start up this next fight. Here it goes.
Yeah, there's nothing against it too. No soul bond to stay alive versus it. You do have freedom charge though. There it is to save everybody. And Jeff, he does get one on the backside. Met by Ensong finally from Rai. Gets the connection that he was desperately looking for.
Yeah, there is no more bubble to buy that initial impact damage, which can help take out Jeff. Amazing using that animation cancel for the melee. There's that tackle. Ton of damage goes out and very low. Oh, wow, they're still holding on as Halak is doing a good job dancing, but does fall here. Riku on that off angle, just doing a ton of healing in that moment, is going to buy them necessary time to get to 80 charge on this point, which once again is a huge start for Extinction. DarkZero's got to clutch up heavy in these next few fights.
And I don't know if our viewers knew it, Chip, but yeah, Phoenix is actually a melee character. Recently is getting changed though, so she's finally only ranged this time, guys. Don't worry. The difficult part now for DarkZero, it's similar to how Super Gomez was saying picking up the hero pool of Amazing was hard for his team. Same thing. Amazing not playing the Star-Lord is definitely an interesting decision out of the...
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix is in such a good spot, it's difficult, so it's definitely tough. I mean, the whole goal is to get a ton of ults with when you have that Star-Lord. Phoenix can kind of do the same thing and does have value with those neutral picks as we saw early on in map 1, but yeah, I mean, you're right, it's really not working as much right now. Out goes I, and it is not going to get too much value. In we come with Amazing once again. That one does not land, but now Jeff has a free reign here on that. Is Jeff. Amazing going to find Haluk. The res comes out. Velocity. Juker bringing back Riku and Haluk. The repositioning play here from the side of DarkZero on the offside. Out goes reverse. Does find a few, I believe, but does fall to Amazing with some insane aim. Again, the Namor turret on Phoenix here. Out goes Biblical, and it is matched by the dance floor. And that, again, is good play by DarkZero, who are doing everything they need to do to play this perfectly, and they will be up in ults in this next fight. DarkZero showing up once more.
And it's tough to be in. I mean, they just use Soul Bond too, so they can't really push in. Waiting for everybody to come back. At least they're Venom to set up his dive. So they're just going to have to keep backing up. But they're getting walked on. Perfect timing on the walk from DarkZero to find that stagger, force out the self-res from Juker. His future res is going to be harder to connect on now because he doesn't have that self-res.
Yeah, and we'll begin again. As you see here, Smash on controller. You can see on the bottom right there, giving some hope to the controller players on PC. A very strong player, not only in the strat line, but mostly a duelist, if you can believe that. Haluk going to drop to the low side, just play life as Impunity gets the first pick on reverse here. Korova onto Juker, and look at these swings, how fast Cap can go after it. Once you learn those animation cancels, now it's just going to buy time as everybody's pressing the Q button. Madara going to get people walking, but it does not do too much as inside of Jeff is a two-piece. Might have to commit here. 2 seconds. They both have ways to get back on the map. And instead, Biblical is actually going to fall, and Legacy going to do the same to retake and try to get a portal play back. But I'm not sure they can. No, it is a 1-1 series on domination as we head to Stellar Spaceport.
This is a fun one, Chip. I'm having a good time. I don't know about you or our viewers, but this has been, you know, what a way to end off the day, right? First of all, because, you know, every single series has been close, has been a banger. And now we head to the 4th map, in which it looks like it's going to be a similar situation. Taking a look at the stats now, Shib. Amazing, like you said, putting on an absolute masterclass on Phoenix. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, tough last fight because, yeah, Legacy didn't go down. And, you know, you would like the Doctor Strange portal. But unfortunately, still in that fight, gets eaten by a Jeff. Now in this upcoming fight, you have the advantage. You have the theoretical edge. but it seems like Impunity is there with the Freedom Charge every single time. And then Rymazing, at least as of late, has connected on reverse with these Jeff ults. And nice little squeaky noises coming out of the Jeff.
Yeah, Rymazing stat line looking disgusting right now, up in the MVP slot, at least for now on their team. Looking really good on that Phoenix. And it's funny because early on, for those who have been sticking around with the scene for a long time, Rymazing, not typically one to run hit scan, just was not in the pool. Phoenix came out
okay, wait. Oh, wait. Oh, they're very full. Sorry. He did. He was a hella main. But the problem is that he got outpaced by Delena. He like Delena would absolutely crap on Rymazing at every chance. And I say that as a Rymazing fan and friend, okay?
No, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm saying, but we saw a lot more of that Namor play, right? Like, it definitely was, definitely was a hit scan demon, but started getting early on, and then once Phoenix came out, resorted back over to the hit scan, and now just looks super dominant. So, yeah, absolutely, we can play hit scan, but no doubt. But during stage 1, we saw that switch up a little bit towards the Namor. But we begin again, and we do have the Freedom Charge ready for Impunity, and that could lead them in. They do elect to do that. Walking forward, Ayavagamoto goes out, but that does not find anyone, and they collapse heavy on the back line. Impunity all over the place here on this cap, who can be incredibly quick. Rymazing holding up on the high side, waiting. He's biding time again, and bang onto the Jeff. It does land, but Jeff not able to find too much value with that ult. Team is going to spin to win here. Biblical trying to get Blaster Barrage going and make sure they get that Galactic Legend back quickly, who's already at 15%.
Yeah, right now, DarkZero still on the board, by the way, because of that kidnap play that they committed earlier, and then stagger it onto Haluk. And, you know, obviously we would have pointed out there if I didn't distract Shiv for 20 years in the previous fight. Rymazing now walks up, still able to pop off and do as much damage as he can, but there's that res to bring Biblical back from that damage from Rye.
Yeah, that's a good res there from Juker. Team back in the fight. Point being held by DarkZero already at 50%. That's just sneaky quick how fast that came around during these fights, as it has been a trade fest. But at this point, it's all about who can maintain that position. And by time, we've seen a lot of the... Ooh, that is huge. Bye. Smash with a 3-piece on Juker, Biblical, and Haluk. Smash now, trying to be one of the Jeff Lords out here, popping off and making a huge play. Reverse holding on to the Jeff as well. The team's going to retake, but 70% now for DarkZero is a huge start.
Yeah, this anchor has been so much for DarkZero. Madara, I don't know. We'll see the stats afterwards. Obviously, Ryan's pumping, but, you know, Madara is just able to stay on the point, just kind of consistently pressure out Extinction, who, you know, rely heavily on that soul bond. You see they're using this cooldown so early. Here's another Freedom Charge aggression play by DarkZero.
Bang, and down we go again. We do see no major follow-up off it. Instead, does bring those cooldowns. Biblical going to be on the Phoenix now as well. 88% to ult. Virtually everyone on Extinction besides Reverse will have ult in this next fight. And we see Madara is going to fall at 99%. Unfortunate there. Velocity is going to have that dance floor to bide time, but they don't need to use it now as they're at 99%. It's all about winning just one fight now as a unit. Impunity just building ult due to raw damage, holding this point against the shielding front line of Legacy, and now dropping out, looking towards the back line. The movement on Cap and the animation cancel is wild to look at. Biblical with a pick on Rymazing there.
It's interesting that Biblical is actually going to want to be the one that switched over to Phoenix. You talked about this guy before popping off on Phoenix. On the Star Lord, it was a little bit harder. I think that they were going for those like full-on dimes, but maybe in the mirror, he feels like Phoenix is better. Portal play also comes through from Madara. That's not going to be available for later. We're going to have to keep that in the brain, as he also gave up that Sonic Seduction ultimate charge too. So we'll see how this happens later on, but they're not going to have a Doctor Strange portal to come back and touch if they desperately need it.
Yeah, this is almost a reverse situation we saw on this last map here, where DarkZero was able to come back. Extinction has 5 ults available. They are going to use Riku off rip here to keep the team healthy. Try to do a combination with damage boost shortly, and waiting out here as Legacy with a dunk. Going under goes Jeff to stay healthy. We see the combination from Biblical coming in. That one lands on Smash with Legacy follow up, and that's going to be a pick. Juker with the res coming out. Reverse now, going for the eat, does find one. And keep the team healthy and just yeet here. It should be Velocity off map, I believe. Yes, goodbye to Velocity. Good play there as Rymazing keeps the damage up. But once again, 50% roughly here for Extinction.
Yeah, I mean, Extinction has used every ult, though. Juker preemptively used that res, so this might be a tough fight to come up. DarkZero can go aggressive with the Capel. Also, that Jeff has been a big thorn in the side of DarkZero. Now that's removed because Reverse used that at the end of the fight. So no ultimate except Venom up in a second here. They're going to have to wait out even 2 Shadow ults for DarkZero. This can be hard to live if you're Extinction.
Yeah, good call out there, as there was a lot of commitment, and yeah, they are going to follow up heavy, and that's doing what Cap can do, and why Cap is so strong in the meta. That quote-unquote strategist of the Freedom Charge, if you can use it actually to initiate like that and just walk the backline line as fast as possible with your cap, who can animation cancel for days and just deal so much raw damage. Great patience there by Madara to wait until the commitment from Venom goes off before committing that dash. OT time right now. OT in the moment, excuse me, from DarkZero does have 2 ults available with Velocity and Raimazing. That combination of damage boost could be a team wipe. We'll see how it shakes out right here as they start out. Impunity onto Juker. Juker may have the self-res, not sure if he does. Smash on a Riku. Madara on a Biblical. And everyone is falling now. DarkZero looking like they might take this. Portal goes out and they do. DarkZero on map 1.
And Jeff got hard baited, dude. The only target that he could hit was the Emma Frost, who had diamond form. And, you know, you can't eat Emma Frost when she's turned into diamonds. It's literally not possible. And, you know, he was able to get grabbed out of that poor Jeff grab, turned into a handbag, right? That's how that charm came to be, unfortunately, for Jeff. And right now, deserved MVP for Raimazing. Fantastic work from DarkZero, but a really, really tough end for Extinction. That's the main thing, honestly. It's like, yeah, we saw in that last fight, Juker commit that res preemptively. And, you know, maybe it's because of how the map went, right? He's had 12 eliminations on himself. Unfortunately, 12 casualties, I should say. But that's kind of what happens when you make a traditional duelist player play strategist. It's tough, right? Because maybe they didn't need to use that res. Like, he played well in other aspects, don't get me wrong. But whenever Juker used that res, like, it just was so unnecessary. Also, same thing with that Jeff ult. And they were just down so many ults by that point. Like we saw, DarkZero just took full advantage, man. So good work from Extinction, or from DarkZero to capitalize with those ults. But tough situation that Extinction put themselves in the last part.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I mean, the momentum was right off the rip there. DarkZero looked insane, but I will say that I think Reverse, especially on map 1, was the leading factor as to why the tides had turned, and DarkZero got back into the momentum they had off of that point 1 initially, and from then on it kind of looked, you know, a little bit dominant. I mean, Extinction doing a great job here on point 2, riding the wave in a similar fashion after point 1, and then immediately DarkZero's, ever since that moment of the comeback after 80 charge on map 2, they just never stopped the train and just kept looking dominant in every fight. So yeah, I think that was an example of those momentum shifts we talk about, and they just capitalized to the fullest extent.
Yeah, and I think we saw Impunity pop off, right? I think he was playing well in Captain America too, throughout that series. It was kind of the opposite for Haluk, but also like Haluk was against an Emma Frost and against a bunch of, you know, anti-CC or CC and anti-dive heroes. So it was tough for Haluk. But meanwhile, for Madara, actually, like, I feel like having that Emma Frost diff did matter. That definitely impacted the game in a positive way for DarkZero, and it ended up giving them the series. But regardless, I don't think it was actually the most impressive performance from Madara. Like, that's the tough part. I think it was all Impunity popping off. Madara was that anchor, keeping the team in it for sure, but I think I need to see a little bit more out of Madara in these future maps for them to really keep moving forward, because as a unit, they're playing well, but right now, we're going to probably see a ban phase change for the opposite side for Extinction, as that map obviously went the way of DarkZero.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm curious. You call out the potential ban changes, and we will have eyes on that, but we will be doing that right after this short break. And another series on our hands with a battle back and forth on domination. At this point, just back-to-back banger games. So much fun to be a part of. DarkZero takes domination as we head over to the map choice from Extinction.
Yeah, we've been through wars today, man. I think it really feels like the Infinity Stones have somehow, shaped around this Ignite stage because, yeah, we're heading to a second map, and who knows, this could be a 3-mapper ahead of us, depending on how this ban phase goes. And like you said, it's all up to that map pick. I mean, what are Extinction going to go with here? It's going to be up in the air between Convoy and Convergence, but really, this choice matters a lot, like heavy.
Yeah, see, I wonder if there's a strategy to where you go to like quote unquote most hated map or least selected map and you just lock in, you know what I mean? And really try to make a play right there and just lock in with something that you've maybe practiced that teams don't typically play. I feel like that is something that we haven't seen a ton of, but definitely something that I'm sure some of these teams are thinking about as we head over to our bans. And let's get going. Will this be a 2-0 series or will we see our third straight 3-set matchup here?
You're evil, man. You're evil. We're going to Hall of the Jalia, which is a map that everybody likes.
Yep.
Allegedly. Nobody's going to Araco anymore, man. What the heck happened? That was like the map to pick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Portals. That's what it is. The portals mess things up, It screws with the vibes.
Yeah, see, I really like Araco, but I agree. It's got to be. There's something.
You're a sociopath. You're a psychopath, Shib. That's what you're trying to say right now.
Well, it's fun to off-map that point one, right? Like, you just battle there with Emma, and Invis takes a precedent. You maybe ban that out and see what you can do. But, yeah, no, I think it's just a cool map. But, yeah, I know it's very difficult to make things.
You know what my biggest problem with Araco is?
What's that?
Too red. It's too red.
Is it not a fan of the color red? Okay.
No, because my outline of my heroes is red. So it blends in with the outline. If I was yellow, then maybe it'd be better. But also, there's like other maps where it's also more yellow, so I don't want to do that. It's tough. Maybe here, Rivals, we need to add an option for map-specific hero outlines. There we go. And then I'd be okay with Araco being red, okay?
One of the most requested features, I'm sure.
Listen, I'm with that, and then also getting rid of screen shake. Or might as well throw them all out there. Get rid of screen shake on every hero. That would make me a very happy boy.
There you go. Got the list out. We'll,
that's my whole list.
The team is aware.
Anyway, ban phase, Shib. Yeah. What's going on over here, buddy?
Ban of Venom again. I mean, we've seen that so much today. Venom, Ultron, Mantis, both first. I think that is like the maybe 6th time today, if not more, of the double Mantis off rip. Goodbye to Luna. Lock in of Luna. Another one of those situations. So, yeah, I mean, a ton of same here. And goodbye to Hulk and lock in of Ultron on the side of DarkZero. I think Ultron is a pretty solid pick to change things up from what we saw and to hopefully, help counter some of those Jeff plays.
Yep. In their case, they're fine getting not playing the Jeff. Also, the Luna looks like, right? That's the thing, too. Keeping the Luna. We've seen many teams prioritize that hero. But honestly, it might be a bit of a bait. I'm kind of with DarkZero on this in terms of, their ban phase. Maybe not so much on the Venom or the Hulk, but obviously prioritizing Hulk's hero pool, that's fine. At the moment, though, Emma Frost available for both teams. That's the biggest thing, I think, for me, on top of the fact that, yeah, like you mentioned, Jeff available for one team, Ultron for the other. We know Convergence and Convoy, I think, favor Ultron comps, theoretically. So that's kind of why I would favor DarkZero here over the Jeff stuff, because we've seen teams give up Jeff previously.
Yeah, that's a good call out. I like that. Hall of the Jalia. There is that early map stuff with Jeff is threatening for sure. But, I mean, we just witnessed the power of Ultron across the board on this map, last series. So I'd have to agree with you there. This is another one of those maps, as we discussed, where those strange plays come up off the rip. We see a lot of that Hulk Namor composition, which was banned out, I believe, on the side of Extinction. I have to check and double check that. But again, just shutting out some of the stuff that we've seen be successful today is not a bad play. And it shows that you've done a bit of homework here, but it also depends on who you're going against. So it's very tricky. We keep talking about how hard the ban phase is, but again, we're just repeating the same old song and dance here. It is just a tricky thing to get down every single map.
I have nothing else to add, Shib. I'm just kidding. I think, yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, it's, we've seen the Adam comp not, for example, I think like Adam, we've seen struggle on this map, but that was against that Namor comp. In Hall of the Jalia is one of the best Namor maps, like you mentioned. And I think teams don't really like playing against it, so it does make a lot of sense. By the way, Emma Frost on the high ground, they're all jumping up there on the side of DarkZero. Biblical just trying to get as much damage as he possibly can. onto Impunity, but he's really done a good job at just living. And meanwhile, Kurova shows that Biblical has not done a good job of living, of sniping him out early on Adam Warlock.
Yeah, we see Amazing here on the Torch. We talked about Torch being insane earlier when we were watching Envy when Spiedery was on Torch. Amazing going to show what he's made of here as Shuker goes down and reses right back up once more. And the attack side of DarkZero is looking wildly threatening now. The bond is out. Even more aggression here with Pocket from the side of Amazing, who is putting a ton of damage out on the field and staying completely healthy. And as I say that, almost falls, but does use that escape tool. Another one of the things of why Torch is in such a good spot. And the point is almost captured under the sneaky little play there from Amazing. Smash gonna find Riku. Legacy on a Madara, and the Haluk onto Kurova now, trying to get right back. Extinction up in numbers, walking them back towards their spawn slowly and making that happen. Way to play under that bridge until everybody was ready to go.
Soulbond used huge grab onto the invis, but she is still alive, pocketed by a drone. Eventually goes down. Rye gets one, potentially on the main, but they're going to get rezzed on the backside of the point too, but they have to touch and they cannot.
That was disgusting. During that res, just the raw damage on the front line, who can't have any eyes on for the moment, is going to drive them off and give point away as DarkZero now gets this point with 4 minutes and 42 seconds on. That is a ton of time, and that is what we saw here earlier in our set 3. But can they push it all the way? Because this is very much like we've seen a map that can get pushed to OT and favors momentum.
The look is on Phoenix because of some swaps to spawn to TP from spawn from Biblical. That's a Vanguard player playing Phoenix, and he found a pick. What a god!
Vanguard aim who? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying at this point as we see some play there. Do we see another
nasty with a
good movement here with a good stun? Going to keep the pressure on. Flicks for days onto the front line. Is going to drop back with the team and try to reset. But you know what? It doesn't even need to at the moment. Still going to play aggro. Oh, good shots here into Torch. Was very notoriously hard to hit. And this is a test of aim for real. And down goes Amazing with the combo there from Biblical. Rez comes up from Kurova to bring everyone right back. And the battle in this garage has been obscene. This is like the Infinity War battle, but in this garage. And it is looking like it's going to head towards DarkZero's favor, but who knows? With the luck coming in heavy once more.
Hey, well, hey, man, Tony Stark is the originator of Here in My Garage. If you think about it, you're right. You know, making nothing from a scrap of nuts and bolts. Smash gets it done. Riku and them fall. Surely they switch things up. He'll look back over to that Magneto. But it's interesting. This might be the freest I think we've seen a Torch in a while. To be honest, I don't really favor the solo Torch these days, even though it is good, don't get me wrong. But there's a few reasons for that cooldown or like uptime being the biggest one for me. And also, you know, theoretical KO potential of the ults. But right now, Amazing taking full advantage of being the only Torch player in the lobby with his damage output.
Yeah, I mean, Torch is by far one of the strongest duelists, but it does require some heavy pocketing. And if you're able to do that and get those free reign, especially when you can have the combination of something like Invis up there in the sky and the drone, for example, two sources of healing consistently really enable you to play like this, where you're taking space on yourself. The res comes in from Biblical to bring the team right back, but the point is close to being taken.
Yeah, it's about to be taken. I like it, I guess, to bring back Biblical, who runs in, gets the boundary. They lose Riku anyway, and guess what? The res, it got Riku off, so Riku's back in it.
Yeah, it ended up working out pretty well, and that's one of those early rests that does find success. It goes to show you that sometimes that is worth. Luck going to find a Madara. Kurova going to bring back Impunity and Madara once more. Amazing going to find Juker. Biblical goes up onto Amazing, and Kurova bringing back Amazing as everybody is back in the fight now. What do you know? Juker resin himself. Impunity on the reverse now, walking them back. And will this be enough for them to take point? 2 meters still on as they're holding this space with the Supernova out, trying to buy some zone. Smash onto the back line. That is going to take out Juker. Amazing onto Haluk, and there we go. DarkZero should have point pressure at this point, heavily up in numbers.
Yeah, a huge savior of that point was Velocity's right hat, throwing out the invisible boundary. Needs that to stay alive. Also was the target of Haluk in that Meteor Ram. Saves that double jump for that ultimate, and able to live off of that Amazing, and then eventually smash over the top side, follow up. So right now, good work from the strategist line of DarkZero. And then, well, that's 3 people. That's literally half the team. But regardless, at the current moment, DarkZero keeping this car pushing forward 3 minutes is a pretty damn good time bank shiv in this last point for Extinction. You know, they're going to need to play fast. They're going to need to play quick with Biblical now, who's on Star-Lord, but he goes down to Madara.
And Madara finding that pick early again. You need to see a momentum shift you want to hold here. This is one of those points that you can really steamroll Kurova, doing what Kurova does. Really strong Warlock player. Going to take out Legacy and Haluk, and still holding on as Juker finds velocity now. Numbers still up. Kurova, why don't you make it 3? Onto Juker. Amazing onto reverse and smash onto Riku. And there is that momentum push. DarkZero still walking with 2 minutes and 12 on.
I mean, this is not the Extinction of old, right? I feel like, well, Extinction of last week, right? This team is not the same team that really pushed 100 Thieves. Right now, DarkZero are just like making them look terrible, right? One by one, they keep going down. Here comes Smash with an ult. Maybe they can find him in the sky, but no, Legacy goes down early.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time in a while we've seen just heavy poke here using the Warlock with the Ultron. It's a rare pairing, but when you have aim like these folks do, might as well make use of it. Just a ton of poke damage, and they're finding so much value in the neutral here, getting these early picks and just finding more and more and more until everyone is out and the team can just walk using Amazing's free space here from the torch. Going to use this smoke to try to play safe, but does still get trance. Is going to be looking down towards the rest of the team. Sonic Seduction right at the back line and just giving that point towards his team. Everyone bound now. Amazing onto Juker. That is a pick that is necessary to start off this fight up in numbers once again. Spin to win here for Biblical with that Blaster Barrage. Just trying to build ult back. Does not have it even close as it was just recently used. And ults are going to be off the table until Smash gets it very soon here.
Yeah, right now some poke coming through early on. Trying to set up the box right now is Rye. Here they go aggressive with Ultron's Rage 2 towards that back line.
Yeah, it seems like Smash, who is typically a duelist, has been pretty much on the Jeff Ultron grind. So that is what we've been seeing from a lot of these teams, just to accommodate for this triple strategist composition meta, if you will, as that is going to be a full push there for DarkZero. Again, really showing work of how strong they are on some of these more niche heroes. This combination of poke is insane, especially when you have Torch, like we're saying, just always consistently in the front of the battle, but just so much pocket, so hard to go down.
You'll need a top-notch
Huge work from DarkZero to end it out. And the tough part is, you know, we've seen teams kind of choke on defense a little bit, right? This could change, but at the moment, 2-2-2, being reliant on it, Shib doesn't seem to be the play for Extinction at the current moment, right? We did ban out Jeff on the other team's side, right? But you know, for Extinction, they're not even wanting to play it, right? I mean, they can't play Ultron, but they're not even playing the Jeff comp. And I feel like once you kind of give up on that, that sort of doesn't enable a Star-Lord anymore. You can't go for those aggressive plays. And then what do you really have? Because they're losing out in these long, drawn-out fights. Even if the for example, the Human Torch doesn't get as much damage as you maybe would like as like a Phoenix in these neutrals or the Star-Lord. I mean, the 21k is a lot, don't get me wrong. But I just feel like it's more because Extinction is playing this very, very suboptimally right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. I feel like Torch is one of those heroes that can counter Jeff with just cooldowns, right? Like you do have that dunk, which can take out Jeff almost instantly, but, you know, especially when you don't have a mag to bubble up. But you're right. I mean, you need to try to find something else here. I think this is more of a unique... We've seen some success with the Loki-Luna combination, double Danclor, but that really requires that your duelist is just absolutely frying everybody. And currently, right now, they're struggling so hard to get Amazing out of the sky of the front line. It's like something's got to change, I think, and I'm not sure that the comp that is being run right now is the solution to that.
Extinction are going to figure it out. Maybe this is the one. I'm going to set up Hulk on the far flank, though. Maybe set up that dive with that Loki. Just go for a full commit. But on the high ground, everybody's here trying to ready to get set up for Hulk's side, but they're being met by DarkZero.
And this is one of those dive potentials ready to make a dunk play. Bang, down very low, the whole team at that point. It is going to knock completely off the high side. See how just raw damage right there on the Legacy. Already very low. He's going to be healed up, though, as the focus goes away. Kurova going to find Haluk. Amazing onto Juker. Juker gets that pick on a smash, though. Amazing, why don't you find 2? Do you see 3? And this is that torch play we're talking about. Getting those that ammo back there with the animation cancel the melee. Find a 3-piece, almost 4. Looking for 5 here. And that is just crazy accuracy. Amazing on all of these more unique heroes and heroes that require different skill. It just really can get the job done. One of those duelists that has the ability to find weird, strange play styles and make them unbelievably strong. Not saying, you know, Torch isn't already there, but things like Magic as well and Phoenix, just vastly different play styles.
Yeah, these were the big picks that we saw earlier in our graphic, right? Really coming to fruition. DarkZero picking up Amazing and Kurova from Sentinels, and now they get to play with those two, which is definitely a huge improvement from their previous roster.
Yeah, and there is that Supernova at the back line again. A ton of time being bought here. 2 minutes 24 available left for Extinction on the attack. Have not moved the point at all just yet. Spin win is going to be difficult, but using that shield cooldown from Invis with the team up is going to help counteract that a bit. Smash going to start with the Ultron's Rage, just dealing a ton of damage, but won't be enough to make anything happen in that moment. Out goes the invisible boundary here by Velocity. Madara is going to use that Psionic. Velocity gets a pick on a Biblical. Riku in an off angle, just trying to play down low. He's going to try to keep the team up, but is going to jump off for the reset, trying not to give too much ult charge to the enemy.
I mean, already 2 minutes off the clock at the current moment, and it's as you called it earlier. I mean, this is tough. They use both Stratus ultimates. Riku in reverse. Reverse now goes over to that Invisible Woman off of the Loki. I mean, maybe you can get a pull on Rai or something. Maybe you can pull in Smash or Kurova. But right now, the momentum is not in the attack's favor. I mean, we're basically at 2 fights left now. They also just used their portal shib, so... And Rai's playing admin mode, man. He's like in their spawn. Nobody's looking at him right now. I mean, this guy's been freer than anything I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, that is just pure confidence right there. He wants to show you...
Gonna body block it. Are you kidding?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That is insane. The confidence right now for Ryan Mazing off the charts, who is just doing some wild things. Ryan Mazing playing lights out in this moment. If he gets his pick as well, oh my goodness, that is wild to witness. Ryan Mazing playing, again, lights out, and just that kind of confidence, I tell you, with Duelists, when you're playing like that, and when you think you can get it done very low, might fall, does fall there from Biblical, but when you're playing with that kind of confidence, it's difficult to stop it.
I don't know. That's brutal, man. If you get world starred like that, you just uninstall, man. That's brutal. It's not even necessarily Juker's fault. Like, Juker's trying to find a way into the series, but the only way in to this series, well, might be via Legacy finding Smash.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And this hero is just incredibly strong right now. We will be seeing that change coming in here in the next patch. But yeah, I agree. There's really not much Juker could have done. I'm sure there are folks that are going to roast him for that. But like, it's just, you got to think that how incredibly strong Torch is, and that movement is so difficult to track and make plays off of. So again, doing everything he could in that moment. But yeah, I mean, low Smash going to fall instantly there. And that's the downside to going in immediately into an Emma from Legacy, who finds that tackle. At this point, there's 2 seconds on. Can they get this hold? They are starting to. DarkZero trying to make sure the defense stays, and it looks like it will. OT ticking down. Will the portal come through? It does not. DarkZero hold on at point 1 and take this home 2-0.
Incredible series from DarkZero. Huge shout out to Extinctions for competing in Ignite Stage 2, but yeah, I mean, that was a very, very good game out of DarkZero, and that's what these good teams have to do, right? You have to see performances like that if you want to have any hope in the future. But that's going to be the last team that qualifies for our playoffs too, Shib. So congrats to DarkZero. Unfortunate on the other side for Extinction. I mean, they shouldn't even really been here. I'm sure they know that. Like, realistically, this team, they were like 1 slot off from qualifying basically, and then got the slot because of Stridex leaving. So, you know, because of these sort of circumstances, it's allowed Extinction in, but they, you know, they put on a good performance. I'm sure gained a lot of new fans, had a close series with 100 Thieves, and then versus DarkZero put up a good fight on map number 1. So massive shout out to them, but obviously turning the narrative right over to DarkZero. This team looks good, and this is everything that they could have asked for in this lineup and more.
Yeah, I think DarkZero on map 2 looked wildly dominant, and this is a map that wasn't selected by them, correct? So it's just, yeah. Again, this is what, if you're looking to support DarkZero here, this is what you're looking for from this team, a team that is becoming way more cohesive over time. You know, adding those new additions to the roster, 2 very strong players. We saw a ton of early neutral picks there from Kurova with 10 finals. It was only 4 behind Ryan Mazing with 14, and that is more than the entirety of the opposition. Kurova with 10, right behind Madara there with 11. I mean, it's, again, like I said, Ryan Mazing and Kurova really showing how strong they are in this map. To maybe, you know, silence those who are wondering about the pickups, if there were any that did. This is going to make sure that you see the advantage of having those players on this team.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is every team is going to have now, you know, these last games to sort of experiment with the patch, you know, figure things out, and then yet another week for them to kind of figure out exactly what happened in this patch, right? What is the actual best comps to play? Do we even want to continue to play these single duelist, triple strategist comps? You know, things are changing. Seems like some teams can play a traditional 2-2 like Envy. So Huge game by DarkZero. We'll see how they improve over the course of this weekend because they are still alive and are now fighting for that seeding that really does matter in that full-on series later on.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to glance here at the MVP. We've already discussed about Ryan Mazing a bit and that torch performance. Again, some of those plays that we got to look at there. Shout out to the observers who were able to catch that. But yeah, Ryan Mazing here, 34 KOs, 14 finals, only falling 5 times, and honestly was in the front line just as much as anywhere else, just taking that space with the raw presence that torch has. And might as well do it now before that patch comes in. Not sure it'll completely change the way that he's played, but it might affect him. I do believe that animation cancel to get that ammo back will be affected, so we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious if the character's still good. It's taking a lot of nerfs to tune him down. But yeah, I mean, Ryan Mazing looking good. I mean, that's the first time I've ever seen a pro player world star another one. So that was, it broke the ankles on the opposite side. And a man who really also stepped up in that series for DarkZero was one of the new additions to this team of DarkZero in Korova, who I believe is here for our interview. Congrats on your win, boss. Can you hear us? How you doing?
Yeah, I can. Hello. How are you guys?
Hey.
What's going on? I mean, you guys looked insane out there. I was shouting you out a little bit ago with how many neutral picks you had. 10 finals there. I mean, we've seen success with you on Adam all throughout history of, you know, rivals in general of this pro scene. But I was surprised to see the comp where it was you're running Invis, Ultron, and Adam. And that might be one of the first times we've seen that lineup where it's very poke focused, but you guys made it work. What's that structure like, and how does that work in the back line? Is it just saving those cooldowns to save each other and just try to raw neutral poke the whole time, or what does that look like?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, we thought the cloak was gonna be the better pick there, but I kind of just give it a shout. I was like, yo, Adam's open, I'm just gonna play Adam here. I'm just gonna try Adam first fight, and then I just didn't die. We just kept going, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna just stay Adam here. We're gonna play it on attack as well. So that was the only thought process that was going on in my head.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No.
Exactly.
And see, so on the opposite spectrum of Shib, I was talking about how terrible you were, Korova. I mean, it was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful how many picks you got, how well you played. I mean, that was abysmal to watch. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, now you guys have a good rematch versus Nemesis, and you have a brand new roster. The biggest thing for you guys, and my question to you, Korova, is what's it like with a brand new team? You know, you were previously with Sentinels, previously with Nightmare, a team that won the entire tournament before. What's it like with this new setup with DarkZero, with Rye bringing him over as well?
Yeah, I definitely think it's very different. I think the structure is very different. The way that we talk to each other is very different. We're definitely not scared to like just shit talk each other. I think that's a kind of a good thing as well. I think we just go ham at each other when we need to, you know, just making sure that we're all accountable for each other.
Yeah, I think that's a sign. Well, we talked about it before that, you know, I think when you're actually able to make fun of each other, but make, you know, progressive statements and like learn from making fun of each other, it's a sign of teammates that are being friends, and you don't take it as personally. Instead, you just try to be better to make sure that doesn't happen again. So good strengths there. I mean, also just peeking in, we talk about the new team. Can you give us a look into how the comm structure looks like with bringing you two in? Who's kind of leading comms in different situations?
I think everyone's vocal. I think we made a really like important stance when Ryan and I came in that everyone has to be vocal. Everyone has a play that they want to go for. Everyone has to chime in, talk about what they want to do, talk about how they can follow up on the plan and stuff like that. Like it's all a team at the end of the day. So we want to be as cohesive as possible.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I think, you know, going back maybe to, well, first of all, you guys are in the playoffs now, right? You're trying to actually fight for seeding at the current moment against Nemesis coming up. Obviously, in the upper bracket, it was a 2-0 for Nemesis. You guys put up a fight for sure, but I don't know, what's your biggest takeaway from that series? Do you even remember what happened because it was last week, or you know, new start, and you guys have different strategies? What's your sort of vibes going into that rematch versus Nemesis for seeding?
I think we came into the Nemesis match a little bit lackluster. I think half of us were like not even talking or something like that. We just got to bring in our all for the next time and we should be totally fine, but not too like worried about it as well.
Okay. I mean, we're absolutely looking forward to that matchup. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Korova, and getting insight from you, one of the, you know, strongest strategists in the game. So I will say, anything you want to shout out while we still have you here, anybody you want to call out, you have the reins right now before we let you go.
Yeah, I want to shout out J3 for busting it down for us after that win. I appreciate you, Jay. and that'd be it.
The most interesting way to end the interview yet of the Ignite. So we appreciate that, buddy.
I gotta pull this up. Wait, what? J3 is busting it down? Wait, what?
Oh yeah.
I'm pulling this up.
We had a deal. We had a deal.
It's amazing.
I gotta see his chat clip it, please. Thank God. Okay.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure, buddy. Thank you so much for your time, and we're looking forward to this rematch coming up here.
Yep.
All right.
I sure.
So you heard it there. I mean, some big picks. It's funny. You know, it's good when a team can allow you to like do stuff like that, right? Where you say, hey, I'm just going to play Adam. Let's see what it looks like. And once it starts working, let's just not stop till it stops, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly. This team's looking good and on fire, but can they beat Nemesis? Nemesis took them down 2-0 before. That's going to be a big storyline. I don't know. Can they get the matchup versus Sentinels too? Like, oh my goodness, if we could see DarkZero versus